Evening, Bruce here, Targeted Wealth Creation. Looking out for you guys with BITO and YBIT. This is getting very interesting. This scenario is playing out perfectly. I mean, it's reclining, but not enough to offset the positiveness of the breakout for BITO and obviously BTC. And we're not in much danger now. We're winning our weeklies. Synthetics got some work to do, but we're able to buy calls cheaply and sell puts because we've got a strike price of 36. This thing's trading at 27. So as far as I'm concerned, these guys have played it perfectly. They're motivated. This will be the first payout, and this payout looks astronomical. And look at the share count. I'll get into all the details. It jumped from 525 to 700,000. Well, that cuts the payout down, but I think people are waking up to my videos on this. I mean, there's a lot of interest versus GDXY. People don't care about gold stocks because they're using that looking in the rear view mirror, right? One guy said, oh, well, gold's at an all-time high. Why would I buy the stocks now? They're overvalued. Well, duh, take a look. They're super undervalued. Historically, they've never been this low relative to the gold price. Well, when things get stretched too far to the negative, what do? You know, it's like a spring or a slingshot, right? When they start moving up, they're going to move up massively, right? So the next 4 to 5 years is going to be a huge celebration for precious metal miners because with war, with all the other distress, with the debt levels, gold along with Bitcoin are going to reflect, right? That fiat is just fiat and governments can print all they want. Okay, enough of my rant. Let's get into YBIT. So, what else? Well, look at this. It was down 1.73. Love it. That just means a cheaper price. I'll be in the market again, not right at the open, because you guys have been buying it, right? But you know, I think I bought at 2050 the other day, and it closed at 2083. Well, it's down at 2025. I was busy with other things, but I'll be buying more. Why? Well, you'll see when I get to the payout tab, right? So what happened today? Let's talk about that. I hope you guys appreciate this. You guys that are always telling me the black background show better. So I took the intraday trades and showed them in that method, right? So when you get 3 trades and they're all the same volume, then you know it's synthetics for the first 2 and then a naked weekly call. So they went out. We only have one strike price, right? I mentioned that. We're out at 36. So they bought a call. It only cost 7 cents because it's at 27 something when they did this, right? This is at 36. So as far as winning the synthetic for June 21st expiration, they got some work to do, but I feel pretty good about that. So they were able to sell the put for $9.72. So they collect all that money. Our piggy bank is getting bigger. And then they sold at $12.70. Now, only out at $27.5. So that says to me the fund manager doesn't think it's going to go up that much next week because they went out 1 week, right? With 2 trading days, that makes sense. They wouldn't have gotten any real premium even if they sold at 28 or, you know, if they sold this 27.5, it was probably like 5 cents. So they put it on for next week. That's tight, but maybe they're seeing something I don't know, right? I mean, it's not like I expect it to jump, and I think the first 2 weeks in June could be slow in the markets. I think it's a small pullback in the markets. But let's see. Again, that's one view, right? Their view, kind of my view. Who knows what reality is? All right, so let's go see these. So here's what they did with the call. They got 43 cents, right, on 1,270, which is pretty good volume. Where did that money come from? Well, it came right here. 525,000 share count went to 700. So in the fund, they got 4.8 million. So they went out and used some of it. They increased their holdings. Look at these 2 guys. Each got about $1 million increase, right, in the treasuries. Because not only did they collect the money, but when they bought the call, sold the put, that netted them money, right? So what did that net them again? That netted them from 3.4 to 4.6. So they got almost 1.2 million. So they've got a paper loss, right? But again, they got till June 21st. So let's go back and continue my path. So that got sold. Now we're kind of done with this May, right? So my payment tab, when I get there, will reflect that. Well, when you jump up in your shares, you know, by selling the synthetic and selling this call and collecting that money, we went to like $10+, right? But with the share count going up, it's back to like $7.99. But I'll take $8 of synthetic earnings, and now we've got even a few pennies in our weekly, unless we lose it, which I don't think we will. And then we collected next week 54,000, right? So small monies, but you have to remember the share count. It's big money to pay out because the share count's still small. I expect probably 300,000 people buying in this thing in the next couple of days. Remember, next Wednesday's declaration. I mean, it could be 1.5 million and all that. So that's why it's hard to know exactly what the payout's going to be. Once they declare it on Wednesday and then pay on Friday, the declaration is what they'll pay. But leading up to this, if people are watching my video, I was thinking about putting this out late in the morning right before the market and making sure I went and bought my extra shares, right? But, you know, it's not fair to my subscribers. If you guys like it and want to buy it, buy it. Again, it's not financial advice, right? But I'm trying to tell you what I think, right, in my humble opinion, what value is. You know, ask your financial advisor and make a decision. But it looks pretty attractive, peoples. I must say that. So let's go look at holdings. That would be, oh, actually, I should show you here, right? So this is a transaction, paid 7 cents, right? Which is coming from this and sold for $9.72. The 427874 rounded to 43 when you put it in my spreadsheet. That's the naked call. I showed you that. So here, I showed you this temporary. So that's what they put in. That jumps this number up previously from 3.4 to 4.6. So we added another 1.2 million in our piggy bank, right? So let me continue. So now I'm done with that. I can go to holdings. All right. So you don't care much about this detail, but I mentioned to you there's more money, right? They bought more shares, so they used some of it there. This jumped up, net assets. So why did we close? Well, we closed at 2025. Even this is saying fair value is 2042, right? So now we have a liability here, right? A paper liability that says we owe 3.5 million, right? But I expect that to get declined, right? Or to decline as we move up. But it just doesn't look like maybe next week is the week. But we will put on a bunch more this Friday. We'll roll out of these 3,800, right? We already have 1,270 that's next week, and we'll roll out of these. So we'll have the 5,070, which is our total deployed right now. So, oh, I didn't show you weekly. But that usually ties right into my holdings. So this means the color coding means it's out a week, right? And I change the colors around, but I make sure they're different. So we got a 28.50 strike price. So we're 466 with 2 trading days. That's pretty reasonable, right? The one that in a way is not reasonable is 27.50. That's very close. And it's 12.70. This will be the bulk. Hopefully they go out to 28 or 29 for next week, but again, maybe they see something that others don't. All right, so how are we doing on our weeklies? Well, we're winning, right? We've captured 63.61% of this together, 198, right? 144 coming from this one, and then the 54 coming from the one the following week. So we have some time to truly capture that one. All right, this is where it all gets laid out, right? Told you about this. This is our liability. This one, because we're dropping, right? We're down to 27.27. This 28.5 is getting almost worthless, right? So we collected 144. We've collected 83%, right? So by tomorrow, if it's not at 28, this thing's going to stick around here, and then on Friday they can buy this back for a penny or two, right? So we capture that. Now, in fairness, when I go to my payments tab, it's going to show it already. It always shows it collected because we collected it when we sold it. This guy is 11%, already positive, right? We sold it for 54 and it's 48, but we got a long ways to go, and it's not that far from the current situation. But it's a small portion. Wait till we write on Friday 3,800 of a new next week, right? So, and down here you see we've been pretty steady though, 345, right? 3.3 million, 3.43. So we're not really getting killed here. We just have a paper liability. So let's go look at it. I hope you guys are really getting it, right? I know new people. I brought in a lot of subscribers from my 40,000 a month video and all that. And I expected that to happen. There's so many people that don't know about these high yielding opportunities in YieldMax. You guys that are most of my subscribers in the past, you've invested. You know these, right? You may not know the inner workings, but that's why you watch my channel. Those of you that want to know the details, some of you just say, hey, I don't, what do you think? What's it going to pay? And that's all you care. And that's fine too, right? Whatever you get out of it benefits me, right? I mean, I'm in it to ultimately make money, but I love to teach and I love to share. And if I can help people better themselves in their financial situation, it makes me feel good, right? So I'll always do that. You don't have to worry about me stopping the channel. As long as I'm breathing, I'll put this out, right? And I'll also give you my opinion. You may not agree with it, and I try and avoid the obvious, political issues, socioeconomic. I just tell you, once in a while, I tell you why I think something's happening, and if I say the government's ruining and there's too much debt, it applies to all governments. We're so in the U.S., we're so deeply in debt now. I don't care who you elect. I don't care what their policy is. It's not going to, the old saying, you can't turn a battleship around in a bathtub. That's our problem. I mean, we're 130, 135%, debt to GDP. And it's like a boat anchor with these rates going higher. And I see we may get a rate cut or two, but I see inflation raging and ultimately very high rates. And I don't know how they're going to pay it, right? And we can all see and think whatever geopolitical and government processes, but they're not really our friend, right? They're going to tax. They got no choice. They kick the can down the road and they tax. That's what governments do. Sadly, they attract mostly people that want to benefit themselves. It's hard to buck the system and try and do good, but I try to have good thoughts around that. I think people are good, but systems aren't good. All right, that's my rant. Let's get into payment because that's what you care about. So this number jumped up, right? This number jumped up like 1.2 million. I think it was like 3839. And now with selling another 1.2, my total. Now, before I put this in, if I go back to 500, whoops, I want to say equals that column, but let me see whoops, I messed that one up. Let me put 525. All right. So you see, when I first did this, it was 1065. I thought, oh shit, they could pay out $5, right? But realistically, I'm going to do my equals and go over to the holdings tab and pick it up from there. So that brings us to 799. Well, folks, that's a nice collection of money. We even with the 54,000, Granted, we haven't earned that completely, but we're 82% into the other money for this month. Okay, remember, these are the two numbers that matter, and these two get added together down here, right? Um, Collectively. And then this keeps changing, so don't just go, oh, 1203 minus 192, well, that's 10 something. No, because that's based on this share count. You have to take into consideration how many shares you're going to pay. So we now have 6 cents in the positive on our weeklies. I mean, barely positive, and we're 7.99. If this goes to 1,000,000, this drops to 554, right? 1 million shares would say 5.548 would be 5.54, 5.55 cents or dollars, $5.55. So understand that it can change even though I'm correct in all my math, right? It just depends on how many people buy in, and then what does it do right after it pays us? It drops. So never buy it just for one dividend. But you say, am I bullish on BITO? Well, if I'm bullish on BITO, it means I'm bullish on BTC. If I'm bullish on BTC in the near term, longer term, right? 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, because I don't think you can jump into a fund for a month or two and jump out if you turn bullish or hedge, right? The ProShares fund that has BITO, and I own some BITO, they also have a bear BITO. They also have a 2x BITO, right? So all that hedging stuff, I'm going to talk more in the Discord and on my lives, and we're going to do much deeper dives into hedging. So don't you worry about that. You're going to get all the hedging you ever heard or want to know about. And I even plan to do some tax things because I'm up against tax this year. You start pulling in big monthlies and it throws your income askew. And you got to prepare for that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm not a tax expert, but I'm pretty sharp on numbers and taxes and other things. But again, I'm not a CPA. So always check with your own CPA. But I can tell you what I'm seeing or tell you what I'm preparing to do. So anyway, I degraded onto a few topics. But if you're getting a bunch of income, this is not qualified dividends, right? I was before getting 17% on a big oil company dividend, and it was all qualified, right? But I said, why am I getting 17 when I can get 70 or 90, right? And even if it goes and I lose 10 or 20% on the underlying, right on the NAV, and I'm getting 100, then I'm netting 75. But you got to prepare for taxes when you start pulling that kind of income in because it comes in as ordinary income. All right, so having said all that, I see right now if it ended here, which it won't, right? Although this could go up a little more and this go up a little more and we'd still be around $6 or $7, I'd probably see them paying half, right? So I mean, right now, that's $4. Will they, pay for it? I don't know. Because we got more time will tell us, right? They clearly won't pay 75% of it or 100% of it because if that liability in the synthetic, if it doesn't get to 36 and only gets to 29, when they buy that back, that's going to eat up a bunch of their cash, right? So they always want to leave some money out there. At best, if it ended at $7.99, they're going to pay $4. They could pay $3.50. But I think they're going to pay, I say to you, and I've been saying for those of you, 2+. And when I put out some of these, I put 250+, right? Because that's going to happen. We'll just see where the share count is. Just to show you so you guys know, right? If I go out and make this 1,200,000, look at that, right? Now that's 500,000 on 700. That's like 75% more shares, but that's what it would do, right? So what you don't want to happen is for that to happen at declaration, and that alone is probably a 200. If it finished just like that, that's a $2 to $2.30 payout on a $20 NAV price, right? So I'm seeing this. I got a few other things I'm going to sell and move some more into it tomorrow, because now that I see that BITO's kind of hanging around, I just didn't want a big loss here. I didn't want it to run to 31. It'll really help our synthetic, but it'll hurt our short term. So that's what I got for you guys, right? Easy to calculate and see what it is. Plus it teaches you guys what could happen, right? Oh, Bruce, you said it was going to be $4. Why isn't it $4? You only paid $2.50, right? And then there's that, what do they pay? Well, my experience, and here's where wisdom and experience comes in. I'm watching YieldMax, being in these funds, reading, listening, talking. You know, they're never going to pay out all of it, right? But just like when it's a real low distribution and people are expecting higher, sometimes they'll go borrow. If this is $1 and they want it to be $1.50, they'll borrow from this even when it's a loss, right? It's just a paper the way they borrow. Okay, guys, that's all I got. I need to get on to some other videos. Have a good evening, and we'll talk again with another video soon. Bruce out again. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. It's for fun and entertainment, and I hope I entertained you today. Thanks for all your positive comments. Love you guys. Okay, bye.